Good morning from Seattle, Washington. It's time for Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. My name is Robin Fritz, and today we're going to talk about how to relax around communicating with our animals. And you can take all of the tips that I offer today and use it to communicate with anything, your house plant, your house itself, your car, whatever. So here we are. Welcome to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. My name is Robin Fritz. I'm an intuitive and spiritual consultant and certified past life regression specialist. And I'm really honored to host the OMTimes.com radio show podcast, The Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. So today I want to talk a little bit about believing in ourselves and relaxing around talking with our own animals. I'll expand on that this afternoon in my radio show at 2 Pacific Time, 5 Eastern. But really, you can use the tips I offer today for any kind of intuitive work that you're looking at doing. For fun, for work, for improving how you get along in life. I'm also taking questions and comments today, so just chime in with whatever you're interested in chatting about. And we're going to get right into a grounding and balancing meditation with the crystal Fallon. So good morning, Kodiak Island. That's Alaska, right? Julia, awesome. So thank you all for chiming in. And this is a great community that OMTimes has created for us. It's our place to learn and grow together. And thanks for being here. So this is Fallon. Fallon is citrine Lemurian quartz. He's an ancient truth bringer and healer. So you will be able to connect with him the way your intuition works most strongly. So you may see pictures, feel feelings, hear him chat with you, or just know that you're connected with him in this time that we're spending here together. And if you take your attention to the top of your head, what we're going to do is just get grounded, get balanced here together in this space, just letting go of all the cares of the day and connecting with Fallon's energy and with each other. You know, we make the world a better place by building community, and this is one place where we can do that. So mind, body, and spirit. Top of your head, breathe down your body from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, and just release the cares and invite Fallon's energy in. Breathing down the top of your head, down your face, your shoulders, your chest, your hips, your knees, and your feet. The top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Just feel that. And now as you breathe back up, you can welcome in that energy, breathing up from your feet, past your knees, your hips, your chest, your shoulders, your face, and the top of your head. If you're very sensitive to feeling energy, your crown chakra is always going to be wide open, but it may feel a little lightheaded, and we'll ground us all back into our bodies more solidly at the end of the session. This is your opportunity to experience this ancient crystal and the power of being a community together. So again, I invite you to chime in any questions or comments or any requests for looking at quick issues for you. I'd be happy to do that, and we can share impressions here. But I wanted to just chat a little bit about how we can relax and believe in ourselves in connecting with our animals. And this afternoon on my radio show at 2 Pacific Time, 5 Eastern at OMTimes.com, I'm going to be talking more about connecting with our animals on our own. But, you know, a lot of people tell me, I try and I can't connect with my own animals, or I'm just not any good at it. And, you know, this is your time to hear that it's okay, not to worry about it. Even professional animal communicators can have trouble connecting with their own animals, right? So I'm admitting that I too have sometimes difficulty connecting with my own animals, even though people come to me professionally. And the reason is they're our own animals. They're our family members. So our emotions get all wrapped up in it, especially if there's an issue they're not feeling well, or you're worried about something. And so it's hard. And so that's where you need to practice. First of all, practice on the simple things, but first and foremost, to believe in yourself, believe in your ability to connect with your animal families, and believe that they're there interested in connecting with you. And I know years ago when I first consciously started connecting with animals, my beloved Cavalier King Charles Spaniel Murphy said to someone at a group event that we were at, she said, she talks to me, meaning me. She talks to me all the time and I talk back, but she hardly ever hears me. And that stuck with me for all of these years, because the truth is, sometimes we just try too hard. And that's what I was doing with her. And I'll talk more about that this afternoon. But what if you just relaxed, right? Took a deep breath and relaxed into the process of connecting with your animals. And if you don't have animals, connecting with your own soul, connecting with the beloved humans around you, a house plant, your home, your car, whatever it is that you need to develop and want to develop a deeper relationship with. The truth is, our animals really are always communicating with us, and we're always communicating with them. As my dog said, we're not always hearing them talk back with us, partly because we don't believe in ourselves. And the other part is that we're getting information in many different ways, which is why I encourage people to go out and practice their intuitive abilities. Just practice and practice, so that if you're in an emergency, you know how to react, and you know you have something to build on and to help filter through the worries and what's going on around you to get to the core of an issue. But believing that you can connect with your animals, believing that you can and you are capable of using your intuition and your healing abilities in your life, that's a very important hump that we all have to get over. And that's just what I wanted to point out today. To relax around it. You know, if you're tense like that, which I was in the beginning, you know, anxious to connect, you're really blocking yourself. You know, when you relax, things move more easily for you. So that means practicing, and also practice around things that, you know, your animals might be interested in. See, they're always communicating with us. But, you know, here's the thing. If you're really hungry and you want dinner right now, you're not going to be interested in talking about 18th century socioeconomic issues, right? So think of it in the same way as your animals. They're interested in playing, they're interested in treats, they're interested in eating. So instead of, you know, asking them like, what are you up to today? Or were we together in a previous life? Or really, I know, because you want to know. You want to know. And animals know. Their souls remember things easier than ours do, because we block ourselves as humans. But play a game with them, you know, ask them what they want to eat. That's how I first started communicating with my animals, by getting them where they live, right? In the treat department. So I just wanted to share that with you. We'll talk more about it this afternoon on my radio show, but really relaxing around it, and relaxing around using your intuition. And this is where, when I teach classes or when I do workshops, and you can find some of those workshops at the Experts platform at Learn It Live. There's a link here in the comments. You can learn that we're actually using our intuition all day long. We're using it with our animals. We're using it at work, at home. We're using it when we're out playing. The problem is we don't know that we're using it, and we don't pull the right information out. So the information is there. We just need to focus on what it is that the question we're trying to answer. So when you play with your animals and you get these weird, crazy answers, you kind of know that you're really actually talking with them. Or go on a walk with your dog and, okay, wow, what is it you want to look at today? One quick example, and then I'll go to see if people have questions here. We're kind of doing a short session today. One quick example of really connecting like with your animals and you're out and about is I'm out and about with my dog Ollie every single day. We don't have a yard, so we need to walk, and I need to walk anyway, and he loves to walk. So we're walking down the street in our beach community here in Seattle. On my left-hand side is the street and the sidewalk on the other side. And on my right-hand side is the beach, rocks, the tide is out a little bit, the ocean. And all of a sudden I'm looking down at Ollie and we're walking along and Ollie's attention is riveted across the street. And it's like, oh. So I could have got like, what is he up to? And I look and ask him, or I could just look, right? Common sense, right? This is part of your communication skills with your animals. It's just like communicating with people. You follow what they're interested in, what they're looking at, their expressions. You can tell by looking at them what they're thinking and feeling a lot of the time. He's just really excited. And I look over there and here's a woman walking a long-haired cat on a leash across the street in the sidewalk. And Ollie's like, yay, this is really so cool. And I'm like, okay. And I'm over here looking at the beach, and there's a bald eagle sitting on the rocks at the edge of the tide line. So we were both having fun, and if one of the other of us is paying attention to the other one, we know what the other one's thinking about and looking at. So when you're looking at communicating with your animals or trying to get an answer to an intuitive question, look at what's going on around you, the common sense reaction to things, how your animals are responding to you, and you really discover that you actually are communicating with them on many different levels. And one last story is my dog Alki, who is now reincarnated as my dog Ollie. He could express anything he needed just by looking at me. So he'd be standing next to me. I'd be sitting in my chair. He'd be standing next to me, and he'd look at me right in the eye. And then he'd look at my lap. And then he'd look me right in the eye. And he wanted up in my lap. That's pretty obvious. So when you're using your intuition, bring in all of your senses, your common sense as well, and have fun with it and relax around it, because you'll find you really are actually communicating with all of life around you, especially your animals. It's fun, and in the long run, it will enrich your life and theirs. So let's see if we have questions. So good morning. Julia is still looking to where to move. Oops, I hit something, and sorry, there we go. Be patient with yourself. It feels like you're holding yourself like this. Sometimes when we're really anxious about something, Julia, and especially when it's really important, because moving is expensive and time consuming, and you want to have the right place. Relaxing around it will help. Keep sea salt around you. Crystals are great. Quartz crystals are great. I'm getting your spiritual team is talking about mold. Be very careful where you're going to check place for mold. I don't know if you're staying in Alaska or where you are. And it's not a quick decision. It looks like it's unfolding over time. Spring is a perfect time for things like that because everything is waking up around you. So get out in nature if you can up there, and invite the elements around you to chime in. The nature beings I call guardians. They call themselves other things. They are very active right now because everything's blooming here, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. And they're very supportive of questions like, where am I going to live? Those are very fundamental things. So ask yourself what it is that you're looking for, and then how will you find that? I hope that helps. So good morning to all of you. And good. I think that's good. And your question, Julia, on moving, whether to leave or not. Right now, I still feel like you need to just be where you are. It doesn't look like long-term, 6 months perhaps, but be careful that you're moving to something and not from something. Does that make sense? You're running to something really better. You're not running away from where you are. Where you are seems very supportive if you're willing to let the surrounding area support you. I hope that helps. Um, how to make fat. I don't know, Assad, what that question is. How to make fat. Does that mean how to lose weight or how to gain weight? I'm sorry, I don't know how to answer that question. So hi to everyone. Julia, a good comment that you give flower essences to your dogs to help them. I experimented with flower essences over the years. My first Cavalier just like went bonkers on them. It just was really a bad experience for her. And that's not normal. What I discovered was there were combinations of essences that were even more powerful and too much for her. A lot of people like to use a single essence. I keep Rescue Remedy around. That's a box flower essence. And I've used that when I've helped people rehome animals for the people and the animals. I've used it to train my kitten to let me cut her toenails. It calms them down a little bit in the beginning. And really, if you're using something like a flower essence, what I've discovered is that it's useful for everyone in the family to get a dose. So that would be the humans and the animals as well. But flower essences, homeopathic remedies, there are a lot of really great veterinarians out there who are using all kinds of old, if you will, as well as new remedies to assist us in caring for animal family members. So great that you're looking at alternatives. And from the United Kingdom, hi. When do I do my radio show? Thanks for that, Julia. My radio show is the first and third Monday at ometimes.com radio. It's the Practical Intuitive. So today is tax day in the United States, April 15th, but my show is this afternoon at 2 o'clock Pacific time. I don't know what time that is up in Alaska, but Pacific Standard Time, so it's 5 o'clock on the East Coast. Jennifer, I really wish your dog would stop leaving himself on your couch. Yeah, thorough cleaning, number one. And you need an enzyme-based cleaner, maybe even a professional cleaner to come in because the smell stays and that continues to attract them. The question is, I'm getting a very strong feeling that your dog is claiming territory, that there's something about the couch that your dog really feels to be possessive of. And so cleaning would be first. Second would be figuring out why that's become a hotbed. Are there other animals that want the couch or other people? Sometimes that's how they, establish their territory. And it might be important for you to leash your dog and keep your dog away from the couch. Depending on what kind of dog, and it's a male or female, you might use a belly band if it's a male to keep them from doing that. Oddly, my dog Ollie, who is an intact male, has never done that in the house, but he prides himself on directly aiming at things on the street. So luckily, I haven't had that problem in the house. Try those things and see if they help. There are also sprays that you can use to deter them from that area. I can't off the top of my head think of that. If you have a good pet store nearby, check it out, or look online at some of the pet supply places online and see if there's a deterrent spray for that. The other thing is if your dog is relieving himself in other places in the house, he could be dealing with urinary tract issue, and I would first recommend a trip to the veterinarian to make sure that there's nothing going on and that he's not trying to tell you that he's ill. So what else? Accidents with, you're true, Julia, accidents with pets can be emotional. My dog Murphy, the one that I was talking about earlier, my first Cavalier, she had bladder issues, and she had crystals, struvite crystals, and they will bounce around in the bladder, and then they'll hit the bladder wall, and the urge to pee is just overwhelming. In fact, it happens. And so if they jump up and rub against a piece of furniture or the bed, that could be what's going on there, especially with female dogs, or if they're digging and it tickles them there, that will cause them to urinate. Struvite crystals were a problem for her for a long time. But here's an example of talking with our animals and finding out what's going on. I have hardwood floors and stone floors, and Murphy was having an issue. So I said, if you know, and I had to be gone. And I said, if you need to pee, just pee by the door. It's okay. Don't worry about it, because I know you're not feeling well, and we'll figure it out as you get better. It's just like a human with a bladder issue. If you can't be there, you need to be near a restroom. So I came home and she'd peed on the hardwood floor right next to the stone floor. And I'm like, okay, why did you do that? Why didn't you pee on the stone floor like I asked? Well, she had a very well reasoned response to that. The hardwood floor was shiny, so she thought the pee would stay on top of the shine, but she was afraid if she peed on the stone, which was dull looking, that it would soak in like it does in the ground outside. Hard to argue with that logic, right? And I'm grateful that we got the urinary tract issue solved so that she didn't have that problem anymore. So look first for a physical issue, then behavioral. Sometimes there'll be animals outside that a dog or cat can see, and then they pee to claim territory. So all of those things could be going on. How can you use animal communication with training? Shelley, that's a great, great question. The thing of it is, we're always communicating with our animals, even when we don't know it. So the question is then, what are we communicating to them? And in training, the old ways of training were to discipline the dog to behave properly, because they were actually thinking of wolves in the wild, and they thought that wolves in the wild were dominating the other wolves in the pack and forcing them down to behave and stay in line and conflict. And in fact, what they've discovered since they've been really studying wolves is that wolves behave more or less in a cooperative fashion, and they're not fighting each other all the time like that, which led to different ways of training, which is more of the cooperative model as in a force-based model. So you could say to your dog, okay, today we're going to do some training on the leash, and I want to work with you on that so that you are safe on the street when we go for a walk, and I am safe, and we both have a really good time. And you can imagine, and as you're working with them, you give them treats, and you praise them for their work, and you pay attention to how they're responding. If they're looking like, what the heck? I don't get that. Or they're looking somewhere else, you can understand that there's more going on there. So it isn't just the animal communication bit, it's paying attention to the whole reaction that you're getting from your animal. Another really great thing is when you're out training is to imagine that the energy field of your connection with your dog and literally the energy and the communication are creating like this circle around you where you're working within this circle and the energy is safe and supportive. And just imagine walking and training within that circle. And those are tips that will help with training. So it's like if you're talking to another human and you're asking them to work with you on a dance move or in tandem walking down the street or biking or so on, you have that connection with them. And it's the same with your animals. Just assume they can understand you, because they do, and speak to them calmly and simply and ask them, you tell them this is what I want you to do and why I want you to do it, and this is how we're going to do it, and see how they respond. In training, some dogs will like collars, others are better in harnesses. I use harnesses exclusively now just because I feel it's safer for my dog as opposed to the collar and can't slip out of it. And making them comfortable and making training fun and praising them, those are all parts of communication and using that. Yes, Shelley, you can use it for any animal. Really, they're all responding to us. And good question. So let's see if there are other questions. See, I just saw your question about mold, Julia, and oops, sorry, I hit the wrong thing again. And you were right. I was feeling mold too. So I don't know if it's the house that you're in or the house that you're looking at that has mold. So pay attention. Joe, you're looking for guidance. My first question is, I'm not sure how to focus that in exactly what you're looking at, but to me, it feels like you need to first start trusting yourself and believing that you are capable of making a good decision. And if that decision turns out to be not exactly what you want, you learn from that. And I always tell people to keep a notebook of their working with their intuition, and whatever occurred to them, your intuition is seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing primarily. What are you getting from those intuitive hits, and how does that work out over time? Nothing is 100% accurate, but you will get better at using your intuition for guidance and just for life choices in general by practicing over and over again. But guidance in terms of learning to trust yourself and realize how valuable you are in the world, that's going to help you a lot. We are running out of time. So I want to thank everyone. You have not met a Dr. Doolittle. Okay, Joe, yes. Julia, your boyfriend left you. Understood. It's okay. You will find something better coming up in the future. But trust yourself. And we are really out of time. So any other questions, you feel free to email me at my website, robynfritz.com, ROBYNFRITZ.com, or a note here at the Practical Intuitive, Robyn M. Fritz. And I will deal with other questions next week as we meet here at the same time, same place. But I wanted to share again, the crystal of the week is citrine. I used citrine last week too. Because we're really talking about building confidence, and our solar plexus is responds to yellow and gold crystals, or the color yellow and gold. And this citrine is a darker color, but Fallon is citrine. Let me just hold that up to you again. So citrine boosts motivation and creativity. It boosts self-confidence and self-esteem. And those are all feelings that we need to keep foremost in our minds and in front of us all day long, because the world is always trying to tell us that we're not good enough or that we need to be better somehow. And we're always growing, we're always learning, and we always make mistakes, and we always do great things too. So give yourself a break and allow your self-esteem to say, okay, sometimes I make mistakes, that's fine, I learn from that and I move on. So that's it for the week. Please join me this afternoon at my radio show on how to talk with our animals. Lots of stories, more in-depth tips on how to connect with them. And you can take those tips and learn to communicate with anything out there that you want and need to communicate with. So for today, I want to thank you for joining us. If you like these broadcasts, please like this page, Humanity Healing, the Om Times pages, my page, The Practical Intuitive. And if you're interested in working with me, I offer personal and business intuition, mediumship, animal communication. Space clearing, past life and between life regression, a process I call soul progression clearing, which helps break up whatever is holding us back, mind, body, and spirit, and then filling us up with healthy energy. So for today, thank you for joining me. Come back next week, same time, same place. Cross your hands on your heart. Okay, let's get grounded back into our bodies, releasing that connection to Fallon, letting the crown chakra close down. And as you take a deep breath, imagine healthy, positive energy grounding you, mind, body, and spirit. You are awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Believe in yourself. Believe that the world needs you. And it will be better because you're out there in it working. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.